Hey movie fans! So we're just a little over 100 days away from Star Wars The Force Awakens, and with each passing day, I, as well as the legion of Star Wars diehards, get more excited with each passing day. To which I went back and looked at all the videos that I've done so far, and I realized I have yet to do a Force Awakens speculation video, more or less like accumulating some rumors together, and more or less giving my take on what I think will happen in The Force Awakens. So, that is exactly what I'm going to be doing today. So today I'm going to be looking more or less at some of the rumors that have surfaced, and this potentially could dip into spoilers, but if it's anything major, I've tried to keep it off this list for the sake of keeping the film as it should be experienced in the theater. Without further ado, let's look at some of the rumors and what I think could happen in Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, I think it's interesting to note that in none of this promotional material has it ever really come up that it's Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. They keep calling it Star Wars The Force Awakens. We as fans know that this is the 7th installment, set 30 years after Return of the Jedi. That much has been confirmed. Why Disney doesn't say Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, I'm kind of curious as to see, maybe it's a marketing thing. It's just more bugging me, and I don't really get why they're doing it that way. Maybe they just really want to start fresh. Maybe the whole Force Awakens thing is more or less them saying, we're going back to the classics and staying away from the formula that was the prequels and moving more towards the traditional original trilogy. So, it's a weird thing to focus on, but I just kind of find it odd that they don't really want to call Episode 7, they are choosing to call it The Force Awakens. In The Force Awakens, we are naturally going to have our good guys and our bad guys. I think going into this, there will be certain characters that will start on one side and will end up on the other side, either by the end of this movie or somewhere in between or at some point in the trilogy. Now you got your definitive characters that are coming back that are the good guys. We know that, like Han Solo, Luke, Princess Leia, they're all coming back, as well as the new characters like Finn, Rey, which haven't had their last names revealed, and I think that has been done on purpose, but we will get to that. We know they are going to be the good guys, and then for the bad guys, we have Supreme Leader Snoke, played by Andy Serkis, and we know he will be in motion capture via this image that was officially released from Star Wars. It's not like, this isn't behind the scenes, this wasn't something that leaked, this was an officially released image from Star Wars. So we have him as a bad guy, we got Kylo Ren as a bad guy, we got General Hux, who I actually believe General Hux is going to end up being a spy for the rebels, even though they're not called the Rebellion. I forget what they're called in these new ones, but they're more or less the Rebellion 30 years later, which you would think after defeating the Empire that they would be the prevalent force in the galaxy. Like, the good guys finally have won. But apparently not. There's some new force that's in charge. I think General Hux, who kind of bears a striking resemblance in my mind to Grand Moff Tarkin, he will be actually a spy, and possibly a child of Luke Skywalker. That's assuming Luke actually had children, but in the expanded universe he did, but that's no longer canon. So, we'll see if that actually plays out, or that's one of my boldest predictions. It doesn't have a whole lot of support right now, but I do think at some point one character is either going to become a bad guy that was a good guy, or a bad guy becomes a good guy, a la Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi type of thing. Speaking of bad guys and good guys, I think there's going to be a strong familial connection between one of the good guys and one of the bad guys. Case in point, the main villain that we are seeing advertised over and over again, and has a huge presence in all the marketing and trailers, is that of Kylo Ren. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole naming of Kylo Ren, but J.J. Abrams, the director of Star Wars, has said that Ren is not actually his name, but more a society that he belongs to, kind of like the Knights Templar and National Treasure, something along those lines. I would not be surprised, and I'm almost banking on Kylo Ren and Daisy Ridley's character of Rey, the scavenger girl that we see in numerous trailers. They are actually brother and sister. Not only are they brother and sister, but they are the children of Han and Leia. They are going to be the Solo twins. In the expanded universe, Han and Leia had 3 kids. Now, those stories were really hit or miss, but they were more or less really well known, and it was more or less thought upon that when the new Star Wars movies came out, it would be about the Solo kids. I still really believe that when Disney fired their original scriptwriter for Episode 7, Michael Arndt, who wrote Toy Story 3, he was actually said to be working on a script involving the Solo twins, and I think they kept some of those elements. Logically, it makes sense to continue on with the family, so it's a Skywalker story going from Episode 1 all the way to Episode 9. It's not about Anakin so much anymore, it's about the entire Skywalker family, with the Darth Vader arc being the whole, like, overall arc. As you can see in the trailer, Kylo Ren having a Darth Vader helmet, so clearly he's got some fascination with him. And I think it'd be a nice contrast having a brother and sister fight, but probably not even knowing that they are fighting, and having one on one side and one on the other side, one being good, one being bad. Kylo Ren, I will go into him in more specific detail in another video, but there's some interesting things that's being floated around by the director, J.J. Abrams, as well as some other names behind the scenes that make it sound like Kylo Ren is going to be an absolutely fascinating character, and they've hearkened him a lot to Luke Skywalker's journey in the original trilogy. Whatever that means, I guess we're going to have to find out. Now, Kylo Ren actually is not going to be the main villain. He'll probably be the main villain that we see, but he reports to somebody, a la Darth Vader reporting to Darth Sidious in the original trilogy. What I mean by that is they've said that Kylo Ren will more or less be the Darth Vader figure for this, but he will be reporting to Andy Serkis' Supreme Leader Snoke, as mentioned earlier. Now, we haven't actually seen any images of Snoke yet because he's motion captured, and I really think they're trying to keep a tight lid, as tight as possible, on Snoke. Like, they have shown nothing on Snoke. Why the secrecy? I think it's because Snoke is a smokescreen. Almost like Benedict Cumberbatch in Star Trek Into Darkness, which, spoiler alert, I mean, you have had time to see this movie by now, but Into Darkness, Benedict Cumberbatch plays John Harrison, who is later revealed to be Khan, the really famous Star Trek villain. I think in this case, Supreme Leader Snoke is a smokescreen for Darth Plagueis. Now, Darth Plagueis was Darth Sidious's master, so if you really want to get into the hierarchy of the Sith, and we're getting real nasty, nerdy, and sweaty right now, but stay with me, stay on target, you had Darth Vader, and then his master was Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious, as was mentioned in Revenge of the Sith, his master was Darth Plagueis, who could conquer death. Darth Sidious killed his master. But what if Darth Plagueis, actually did have control of death and faked his own death and watched his apprentice more or less go on this journey of raising Darth Vader, whatever, and now that Darth Sidious is gone, Darth Plagueis can come back and just rule the galaxy. There's some people that are really speculating this, one being Christian Harloff of the Schmoes Know and Collider, not AMC, Collider Jedi Council, which if you don't watch that, I would highly recommend both of those channels and series, because they're fascinating to watch for both film and Star Wars fans, and he seems to know what he's talking about. I'm really coming around to the fact that Snoke could in fact be a Sith Lord, and could be a very, very fascinating character nonetheless. One that I really want to throw out there just quick is that I don't believe Luke Skywalker will be as big of a character in this film as we think he will be. Now, that doesn't mean he won't be a big character in the overall trilogy. I don't think he'll be a big character in The Force Awakens, though. I think he'll be a bigger character in episodes 8 and 9. We've seen him in pictures more or less looking like the old hermit that Obi-Wan was, and I think that would be a good character progression for him. But I actually wouldn't be surprised if he's not in the movie nearly as much as we think he will be. He hasn't been utilized very much in the marketing, which is a subtle indicator in my mind. There's been other characters from the original trilogy that have been used more, and they're really emphasizing that the new cast is the direction we're going, which is the smart direction, need you. But I don't think Luke will be in it nearly as much as we think, and I think that's a smart move, because they're going to be focusing a lot of their attention on Han Solo before he dies. Yes, that's my final rumor, prediction, whatever, and this could be the most potentially spoilery, just because this is just me throwing a dart at the wall, but logically, the more you think about it, it makes sense. Harrison Ford has not been one to like the Han Solo character, even though he played him. It's It's weird. He is not a fan of Star Wars, really, even though he's one of the few characters in Star Wars that actually had a career. He was actually supposed to die at the end of Empire Strikes Back. That's why he was frozen in carbonite, because Harrison Ford was stuck in these contract negotiations, and they didn't know if he was going to be able to come back for Return of the Jedi. That way the writers could write him out if he did in fact die, but they had a way to bring him back if they were able to re-sign the actor. I think the only way that they were able to bring back Harrison Ford to play Han Solo is that they promised him a heroic end, and it would really make sense. I went to Walmart earlier this week to pick up some stuff. They actually had some Star Wars gear, which surprised me because none of it is supposed to be on sale until September 4th. But before they confiscated that and wouldn't sell it to me, there was an interesting picture on the front of one of the notebooks. It shows Rey, and she's more or less in the seat of Han Solo in the Millennium Falcon, sitting next to Chewbacca, almost saying she's the replacement. Now, it's kind of been thought for a while that Han Solo was going to die. In order to give weight to a movie, a strong character should die on occasion. It makes it more impactful. Plus, if Han Solo were to die at the hands of a new villain, say Kylo Ren, the hatred for that character would jump through the roof. Like, how would you become such a memorable villain? You take out a memorable and beloved character like Han Solo. Logically, Han Solo is the one that makes the most sense to kill off, because Harrison Ford, I'm sure he doesn't really want to be a part of this huge franchise anymore. He doesn't really like going to Comic-Cons and stuff like that, which that's why I'm so surprised we've seen him at 2 major events this year, and I think it's more or less because he knows he doesn't have to do it much longer. And yes, it's going to be really tragic, but logically, Harrison Ford, I don't see him coming out. With each passing day, with each passing rumor, and there's some others that we really didn't address in this one because I wanted to keep it to the major ones. The more rumors that are coming out about Han Solo and Harrison Ford, it really seems like he's going to be the one that's going to bite the lightsaber, bite the bullet, whatever you want to call it. And that's fine in my mind. It's going to be sad and tragic, but if it betters the story and it accelerates that villain to the next level and just makes you hate him and makes you want the heroes to ultimately triumph over said villain, it makes the story better. It gives them a cause to fight for. But what do you guys think? Is there any rumors circulating around Force Awakens that you think I missed or that you want my clarification on? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you see and want to see more, subscribe to the channel or find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at 17 Movie Reviews. Stay sharp, movie guys and gals, and may the Force be with you.